What's going on, guys? This is Josh and Benton on the Hickory podcast. Hope you guys are doing well today. First episode, we're diving in solo leveling. Benton, how
Yes,
you doing?
sir. All good, sir. All good, Josh. All good.
Nice, nice. So this is a novel that I have just recently got into. It's a novel by Chu Gong, and it started all the way back in 2014, but it ain't never too late to get into a good novel. And so we're going to divide this between a non spoiler discussion and a spoiler discussion. So, first up, non spoilers. We're not going to waste any of you guys' time. So, let's dive right in. Ben, how do you feel about solo leveling when you jumped in?
There's a lot of description in my head the moment you said that. But I would say it in one word. One word. Lit.
Okay, okay,
Man,
okay,
I
okay.
man, from character development all the way to how he start from the bottom, now we here, you know what I'm saying? And then from the weakest man to the strongest man. Because Josh, I'm on the update on this manga. So like rereading it from the very start, like yo, he changed a lot, like a lot, like by appearance, by his power, everything. So
Right,
I'm excited to rereading it and then like this have a discussion with you.
right. Likewise, my friend. So, my first impression jumping in was holy crap, this takes off right away. So these guys don't waste any time with beating you down with plot or any sort of background knowledge. They throw you right into action.
Mm,
And so notably the after chapter 5, it picks up like faster and faster. So from the beginning, there's action, but it doesn't get stale because it's constantly adding a higher degree of it. And then you're introduced to the way they introduce characters. I also like because they don't introduce too many people at once. So you actually get to see, okay, is this guy important? Is this guy important? Oh, and also when they introduce characters, they always give you at least I believe they always give you their rank as well. And so, for example, in the beginning, we
yep.
meet Kim Sang Sheik and Bach, and and we find out that they're both C rank hunters right away. And so, you're not just, you don't have to wonder, oh, okay, is this a throwaway character, or what do you think about that?
I like it because you know, even though if they're disposable, they will actually like make value of them somewhat, you know.
Right,
If the character wasn't valuable, then they're not gonna show it. But
right,
this but at least showing the stats or what rank does the character have makes you feel like you're actually there's a value with them. There's a value of who they are. So
right.
yeah, I like the concept that they do that, and then the character interaction with them too is good. So yeah,
Yeah, and something I like about this novel, well, something else I like is that you're also you're not wondering, okay, so is this like a normal human? Because something that they do throughout, I've noticed, is that they separate the humans from the hunters, and so they let you know, okay, now this is a group, this is all hunters talking, or okay, now they're back in the our protagonist Sung Jin Woo is back in the civilian world, and he's like talking amongst humans. They don't. Um, so what I don't like, I don't like when novels like they give you a whole. Basically, they fairy tale you. So they give you a whole essay on. Okay, now we're in this village and this date, and this is what's going on, and then the narrator just tells you everything and doesn't let you uh, the narrator holds your hand coming in, and this is not what soul leveling does. They tell you where you are, but you know it through character dialogue, and I appreciate that. No hand holding, and once again, just throws you right in. Okay, so next, let's touch on.
I understand what you say, but they basically they basically expect you to know the concept already. So
Right,
like you already know what dungeon is,
right,
and then now they're just saying that yeah, dungeon exists, therefore as same as the dungeon exists, hunter exists. So
right,
now in a certain day, the dungeon will go in a dungeon outbreak. So those are like you can say it like game reference, or you reading too much manga, you already know what they're saying. So they're
right,
not gonna what you're saying is they're not gonna go all the way through the beginning explaining to you what dungeon is or what's gonna happen if there's a dungeon outbreak, and then what hunter is, because they're basically assuming that you already know what it is. So
right.
I
No
understand what you're saying.
hand holding. Okay,
That
so let's just start right from the beginning. So the very first dungeon, since I'm already blabbing, I'm gonna go ahead and give you my take on it. So what I saw when the group was walking in, the group led by Mr. Song, got to put that Mr. in, so respect your superiors. The group led by them, when they went in the first, I believe it was a D rank dungeon. Is that correct?
yeah, the lowest one. Yep.
Yep, a D rank dungeon. So everyone's, assuming it's going to be just another easy raid, as they've done many a time. Even our protagonist, Sung Jin Woo, he's done a bunch. Doesn't say how many, but he's done a bunch to say, to also have that same feel that okay, this is just another, average day. And so right away, we know something's wrong. As soon as we, the readers, see that big old door, we know something's wrong, but we don't know what's up. What I did in my experience is before each big old door that I see, I tried to predict what was going to happen. And so for this one, well, first of all, I knew that there was going to be some casualties, some serious casualties, but I did not know it was going to be this bad. So they walk in, everything seems pretty normal. You got statues, and they're looking for the boss, and so they expect things to go the way that they have been going, but they don't, because I think was it Juhi who happened? Yeah, yeah. So
Not
Juhi looked at. Oh, good.
because the dungeon that they're at, like because considering because Jinwoo is weak, like weak, but they
The
even
world's
consider.
weakest hunter.
Yep. They even consider it that this dungeon is gonna be that easy because he's allowed to go in. That's how weak it is. So
Right.
everyone was like, yeah, like it's gonna be a breeze because if he's allowed to go in, even though he's weak, that means the dungeon is easy.
Right, and that's what the guy one of the first two characters introduced, or one of the first few characters introduced, Kim Sang Shik, I believe he says that, and so jumping to that assumption is also something that
Yeah.
brought trouble. But anyway, so Juhi looks at one of the statues, and she could have sworn the statue looked back at her. Both uh, Sung Jin Woo and Mr. Song are like, she's just seeing things, Oh, because something you have to keep in mind is Juhi is, despite being a B rank healer, Juhi, uh, she is very insecure in her abilities, and she also seems to be a very not experienced. So it makes you wonder how exactly she got to B rank. What do you think about Juhi?
Now, I think they mentioned that she doesn't want that pressure to go higher because she's a high ranking healer, but she doesn't want to accept higher than higher dungeon because she doesn't like that pressure of
Right,
being there. So she just want to stay low. She just want to stay low on low level dungeon. 'Cause
right. So I guess it'd be safe to assume
I
that.
would guess she got a like meek personality. Like those one of those Hinata type,
Right.
right?
And
So I
so we
would
could,
just say
yeah, yeah, I agree. You pretty much, worded my words. And so, everybody thinks she's losing her mind. And then I believe, um, uh, what got the ball rolling? What happened after that?
because like they first assumed it was a boss or like an entrance door for the boss room,
Right,
but some said nah, this is not a boss room. This is like second dungeon. This is a dungeon inside the dungeon.
right,
And then when they look at everything is huge. Like there's a statue everywhere, like you said. But it can't be it. We already know that. Like as a reader, we already know that can't be it.
right,
And then everybody assumes so, or everybody assumes so that that's it. Until like you said, she saw the statue looking at her. So that makes everything different. There's only one person take her serious though,
right,
which is Wu. But all of them were still reluctant. Like they just thought it was a statue itself.
right. So um, what was the first attack? Where was the first attack?
What?
What was the first statue to attack? Was it because I know it wasn't the boss statue, was it? I thought it
No,
was one of
no,
the
no.
the ones surrounding the room.
Yeah, the very first. Now, for what happened is, so they saw a statue that has a tablet on it, and then there's a lettering or something. How you call it? Like runic text or
Yep,
some sort. So
Mr. Song and Jim Woo, I believe they're the only ones that read the whole thing. The rest of the group, by the way, is about 10 people. I should have mentioned, but the rest of the group, they were kind of still, just in awe of the size of the dungeon, and so they weren't really paying attention. But yeah, Mr. Song and Jim Woo, they're the ones who were reading they read it was the Parthenon Temple Commandments,
yep,
and I believe Mr. Song was the one reading them out loud, and so one, worship the Lord; two, praise the Lord; and three, prove your faith.
yep. And then
And
when to answer the very first person, or the very first one to die or move is one of the door guards or the guards that the statue that's guarding the door. They're the one
right,
first thing to move because one of these hunters were trying to leave because they he thinks this is stupid, this is silly. So
right,
good luck to y'all. I'm out. That's
right.
basically what he did. Then all of a sudden, he walks towards the door, tried to pry open it, then whew, the head just start rolling.
And then we knew it was on.
Yep.
And so, like I said, there was about 10 members. So okay, so now we're down to nine. Once that statue's moving, Jim Woo starts analyzing. So until now, we don't know anything about Jim Woo except besides the fact that he just gets by. That's his whole, that's his whole persona. And then, we know, of course, his okay, why would a person like this want to be a hunter? Um, He's trying to support his mother, his mother's medical expenses, and he's doing it without hesitation. And so, he jumped right in, but so he's got a reason to be here, but that's all we knew about him. It has a good reason to be here. That's all we knew. But now we start figuring out who exactly our protagonist is because, what are you about to say?
Not because Gino is a big brother, so he got his sister, and then he got his mother on a comatose, currently in a comatose.
Right.
I think it's called like like infinite slumber or something like that,
Okay.
which is she got into that situation because uh just like Jinwoo who managed to become a hunter when the dungeon opened up, her mother is one of those people who can't she can't take those magic or mana whatever, she can't take it.
Okay.
So in the result, she's so exposed by it, she went to the comatose because of it.
Okay.
So Jinwoo is one of those like what they call awoken, and then he become a hunter. But her mom take the different way. She took the mana, but instead of being awakened, she become comatose. So
Okay.
now that like Jinwoo is struggling to go into dungeon because every monster have like especially the strength or sizes of the monster, every single one of them have a crystal inside them or like a mana crystal,
Right.
some say. So he's trying to get one of those because for low level dungeon, if they kill one, they can keep it.
Right.
So he's trying to like get or get as much as he can, like kill as much as he can, because that's easy money. I think the lowest one is like what 10,000, something like
I,
that.
I remember a number like that.
Yeah, and then so he that's even more faster than just working like in a society. So he would rather just go in dungeon despite of him being always near death situation. There was time that he got left off. There's even time that like he's bleeding out and then just managed to go out the dungeon crawling. Like some of those, like that's how he always go in the dungeon run and go outside or leave the dungeon bleeding, scratch all over his body. Like he's just that weak. He's just that weak.
Right.
He always go out the dungeon, bruise, like tattered clothes, everything.
Right.
So despite
World.
all that, he's still trying to like go to the dungeon just to support his sister and her mother's medical bills.
Right. 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 Well spoken. Well spoken. Okay. Okay.
He- He's a good brother. That's all I know.
Right. And so back to the fight. And so right away, everyone starts panicking. I would say besides Jinwoo and Mr. Song. Now, what I believe the first thing Jinwoo notices is that, as the obvious thing, the surrounding statues they don't move. And something else that I should have pinpointed when they walked into the dungeon is there were statues lining the room in a circle shaped pattern. The dungeon is basically a dome, and so there were statues lining the room in a circle shaped pattern, and then there was one statue at the pinnacle of the room, a much bigger statue,
Yeah.
and that's the one that actually supposedly was staring at Juhi. But
Yeah.
the first one to move was the one at the entrance when one of the team members wanted to leave, and he is now left us, so we're down to about nine. And so Jinwoo realizes that none of the statues are actually moving. Um, they have different weapons and they can swing their weapons, whether it's an axe or a Zweihander. they can swing their weapons, and I would say these statues are maybe okay, at least 12 feet at least. And so um, they're in a big size room, and they have space, but remember, you got to think, put yourself in this situation. You're not, you don't know which one is going to move. You don't know, you're panicking. Jim Woo is the only one actually analyzing, but he realizes, okay, none of them are actually walking, so they can move, but none of them are advancing.
So
And then,
he realized there's probably a rules on the room.
right,
There must be something because they practically overwhelmed. They can one hit kill is like too much. That like the dude got decapitated almost immediately. And remember, this is supposed to be just D rank, like lowest of the lowest.
right,
But the one of the statue managed to decapitize, like move that head off almost instantly. That nobody even saw it coming.
right.
So
And then quickly, everyone, it doesn't take a genius to figure out, okay, these guys are too much for us. And um, no one is actually considering fighting back. Not everyone is panicking, but nobody is considering fighting back. And Mr. Song, and again, Mr. Song and um, Jim Woo are the only ones not panicking. We don't know exactly. We don't know too much about what Mr. Song was thinking. But so Jim Woo, he he goes back to the text, and he's thinking, he's like, okay, what does this have to do with the situation? Okay, and then
now, after the entire thing happened, um, Jinwoo made the eye contact with a huge statue.
right,
Like, because they started looking at each other, and then Jinwoo saw that the eyes of this huge statue starts to glow, and then now
right,
like his first instinct was like duck, something like that.
right,
But not everyone is fast enough to do it.
right.
So he managed to swoop. What's the lady's name? What's the female's name? The healer.
Juhi,
Forgot her. Yeah, Juhi. He managed to like drag Juhi down, but the rest wasn't fast enough to react. And then all of a sudden, a laser beam pops out this huge statue's eye. So he started lasering, mowing everyone who doesn't react that fast or like go down that fast.
right. And then we see that Juhi was not imagining things, because the statue gives off a very interesting smile, and we realize, oh, now it's on.
Right.
So the statue, now the statues, again, the statues around the room were about 11 to 12 feet tall. At least that's what it seems. But the statue at the pinnacle of the room, you don't, at least I didn't realize it sitting down. But he puts his hand, he moves his hands towards his armrest, and he raises himself up slowly and menacingly. And when you see his full height, uh yeah, then you realize, then you start to think, oh, yeah, I don't know if anyone survived this. This might
Like
be a pretty short
that that
story.
that's probably like 2 times or 3 times the size of the regular statue, like around the, and
At
those
least.
statue are already huge.
Right, right. And to put it in comparison, I would say the average human is not even up to the statue's ankle bone.
Nope. Yep,
And
you're right.
so and and so the statue, and now you would think oh, and keep in mind, the statue at the pinnacle of the room, we're gonna call him Boss Man. So Boss Man has no weapons, and he really needs no weapons, because who needs weapons when you got laser beams?
Right.
And so, but that's, if you ask me, That's not the worst part about all this. The worst part isn't his size. Is not the fact that he's got burning laser beams that he can shoot from both of his eyes that seem to be very fast as well. But the look on his face as he advances towards you. Talk to me
So
about it.
isn't it cool? I don't know about you, but for me, I made that a wallpaper like for at least a month when I first saw
Oh, you
it.
screenshotted it too?
Yeah, like man, that's my wallpaper for a month. Like that smile, like you it can say because at this time when the statue smiled, like Gene Woo read the entire tablet. So there's this like bow. Well, what's the first one? What's the
Worship
first
the
one?
Lord.
Worship the Lord. So they all bow down because if they stood up, the laser beam gonna pops out. So they all stood down. So when they stood down, like yo, that smile, it's both mocking them, like like he probably thinks low to every single one of them.
Right,
It's like yo, I control your life in my hands. It's basically it. Like
right.
yo, that
And then
smile.
right. And then so Jim Woo figures out that the only way to survive a situation like this is to obey the commandments and so the first one is worship the Lord. So he tells everyone to bow down. I believe now, of course, because Mr. Song, being the experienced C rank that he is, he does it without hesitation. I'm not sure if he yelled it out too, but Juhi definitely bowed down. Not everyone bowed down right away, and a price was paid because that statue, at this point, he's not standing yet. Sorry, I didn't make that clear before. He's actually not standing up yet, thankfully. But so he shoots. How many? Was it two of them? Two more?
Not because when he shoots laser beam, Mr. Song lose his arm, like left arm, and then couple. I think someone died. I don't know how many. I forgot how many died.
I think it was two. So,
Two.
yeah, this is only the second time he's fired his laser beam, and this time, Mr. Song lost his left arm, which he shows no not much emotion towards. So we know he's a battle hardened veteran. He's more concerned about his every single teammate that's left, and he quickly sees that two more casualties have been claimed, and so the laser beam goes through one of their bodies and just completely vaporizes one, and then the other I think might have just been his head. But anyway, we
Nah,
see.
the other one that you're talking about is there's one he was like, man, I managed to finally join in the big guild. I'm not gonna die here. And then he set his position as if he's Usain Bolt, and he trying to run towards the door. But when he attempted to, the laser beam from this big boss suddenly shoot out, and then yeah, the only thing that left to his body is his 2 feet. Like literally, he's like ankle down.
Right,
That's the
right,
only thing.
right. So I guess he won't be bringing those Usain Bolt feet to the next life. But
Nope.
but I now I thought that he died a little later. I didn't think that he died of the second laser beam. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, he does. He fought. He also dies. So that's four. Again, one being the guy who was like, okay, I'm getting out of here. This is Lane. He was claimed by the night by the door before things started. The next two were claimed by the second laser beam by Boss Man, and then there was one who thought his speed would get him out, so he again tried to escape by himself, and Boss Man took care of him as well. So now we got -4. Okay, so let's say so now we have six left. At this point, I believe. Uh, so don't didn't he stand up now?
Nah, when the laser beam pops out, and then Gene Woo tried to test it. He was like, I'm gonna test something out. He tried to stand up, and then he saw the eyes start to charge up by laser beam, and then he went back down again. So he was like, man, I finally get it. I finally get it, because Gene Woo remembered the tablet or something. He was like, everybody bow down, and then now out of fear they followed Jinwoo, whatever Jinwoo said. So they all
Right,
bowed down. And at this point, that's where the smile came out. That's where the smile came out. And then with that, they were like, "Man, whoa, what the hell is that face? Like, what kind of expression is that? Like the expression of the statue suddenly changed for him, smiling, like what we said earlier. And then they finally eased down because the statue wasn't um, charging any laser beams or whatever, or
right.
and then they now Jinwoo was like trying to figure out like how long are we gonna do this? Like how long are we gonna just like stoop this, or how long are we gonna bow down? And then there's one dude, the one dude that like mocking Jinwoo from the beginning. He stood up, and then he was like, "Yeah, I can finally stand now. Like we can do whatever we want at this point.
Right.
We finally managed to live." But Jinwoo was like, "Wait, nah, it's not yet. It's not yet."
It
And
can't
then
be
all
over
of a
yet.
sudden, yep. And then all of a sudden, that's where the statue stand up. And then when he stand up, like the first step that this monster did, the floor cracked. Like it's just shattered. And then
Yeah.
hey, that's
While I
that's
was while when I was reading, I was doing the sound effects too, and so
yep.
I imagine it. I imagine it like um I imagine it like a crater actually plunging into the earth, just
Hmm.
completely decimating the ground. And I love the animation that Chugong uses because you actually see like he does a great job. Or I'm not sure if I'm not sure if it's actually his illustration or someone else's, but whoever it is, they do a great job actually bringing life to the images. So
Right.
like you see like, oh man, like this, I'm surprised this smash didn't cause like a shockwave or anything like that, because you see like, okay, this really is a heavy dude. And obviously it's a statue, but
And then
actually seeing it is it helps with the immersion.
right. And then now, when he stood up, so the statue was looking around. He looked at Jin Woo first, or at least in his direction, and then he looked at forward. Then he started to like lift his feet up, which it I can't express how huge it is, but it's huge, huge. And then as by the looks of it, he's trying to step on them. So when that step came in, I don't know if there's a casualty, but Gene Woo, he shouted because the second thing in the tablet says praise the Lord. So he shouted. He was like, "Yeah, this dungeon has its rules." And then the first was worship the Lord. The second is to praise the Lord. That so, and then he said, "Yeah, that's gotta be the key." And then everybody looked at each other. It was like praise. If it's praising, and then one of the dude, he was like, well, if it's praising, then I'll give it a shot, because I'm a member of choir in the church, so I'll give it a shot. So the dude, I'm guessing he starts singing or praying, whatever.
Right. Yeah, they just start praying.
And then this huge statue with a big grin on his face
But
start to move.
before that, remember he's praising the wrong God.
Exactly.
I know you had to say like, oh man, this is gonna be bad.
Yeah, because the statue doesn't stop. The statue doesn't stop. Right. man, he's like it's not the, it's the wrong god. That's he said. Gene was said like, yo, that's that's praising what Gene was said like praising the wrong god or something like that.
Yeah, he didn't say
And then
which one. He just said that it was the wrong one.
right, and then he stepped on this choir guy like, yo, nothing can stop this dude. And like this is
Right.
and I remember this is supposed to be a D rank where Jinwoo can join.
Right. And then the thing is, um, the teammate that was praying, he's got his head bowed to the ground, and he seemed pretty confident that it would. And I know, he had reason to trust Jim Woo because Jim Woo was right the first time, but he was confident that like he didn't whoever the guy was, I don't I don't remember his name, but whoever the guy was, he was confident that it was going to work because he didn't wait for anybody else to start praying. He was actually one of the first ones to start praying. And Mr. Song, he pretty much once again being the experienced C rank that he was pretty much waiting for Jin Woo's analysis on what they should do. Of course, he's observing himself, but he realized quickly, okay, Jim Woo is the one we should be listening to here. And
Right.
so, Mr. Song was just waiting on Jim Woo's know-how. But yeah, the guy I was just referring to, he didn't wait for anyone. He bowed down and started saying, whatever prayer he was used to, praying to whatever God he was used to. And the first thing you see after that, it's not the foot or any type of shock wave coming from the foot. It's those lit up eyes, that bright menacing yellow. Just they direct their gaze towards him, and I love that because they could have just made it so you just had I don't know, some type of generic face, and he's a statue after all. But I love how he looks at his target, and
Mm,
that just gives like much more like, oh shoot, like this, like like the statue's alive.
right, right. Like, yo, he squashed that dude like a bug. Like that's how small they are to him.
Right. And
And
so now,
I think he stepped on at least two people at this point. Like when he was walking, and then so like when they tried to run away from this huge statue, one of the dude talking about Gino in the early phase, he accidentally go in front of one of the statue on the side, like on the wall in the dome,
right.
and then little he knows when he stepped forward right in front of those statue, this statue have a what's the weapon like sword? He got a sword,
Flyhander.
and then he swing that sword right into that person and then slice it in half. He was sliced in
And it
half.
was so, all respect to that guy, but what a clean slice. It was so symmetrical. I thought the guy pulled out a ruler. I'm not here.
Right.
I wasn't here to do math. I was here for the action. But yeah, so he slices the guy, and like Ben said, the guy he was thinking before that he was thinking back to his family, and then he was thinking his thoughts out loud like, I have to survive. And he backed away, and then moments later he gets sliced, and I believe his name was Bach,
Yeah.
because he's one of the two we see at the very he's actually one of the first few people we're introduced to. But so Bach is gone. Um, his friend Sang Shi, another who was another big critic of Jim Woo. He's like, Bach, my buddy and all that. But there's now is definitely not the time for mourning. And so, so let's say we're -6 now. So we have Jim Woo, Mr. Song, Juhi, and oh no. Okay.
No, I think there's a lot of them for that. Like
I
there's
think
more of them.
yeah. So now that I named them, okay. I was wrong, audience. There was more than 10 because I started off with 10, what would you say the number was? Maybe no more than 13, right?
I know they're odd number because Jinwoo is the one because they casted a vote whether they're gonna go inside that door or not. And then it's 50-50, and then Jinwoo is the one who decided whether to go in or not. So it's an odd number. I would say like 15 at least.
Okay. Okay. So we're gonna say 15. And so, but definitely six are gone. And again, the six that are gone are, the first guy that tried to escape. Um, um, the second, the other two were the ones who got struck by the laser. The fourth was the one who was struck by the laser trying to escape as well. Um, the fifth, and then the next two were the ones who got stopped. And so, okay, so we're -6 right now. So we have the statue's walking now. Now the statue's walking. He's not walking in anyone's direction until they do something to piss him off. And so he just walks forward and making these very just terrifying shock waves as he walks. People are still panicking. At this point, I think what is Jim Woo saying in his mind at this point? After the two got stomped, what was he thinking?
So when the statue start walking, and then there's this side of the statue start like swinging swords once you come right next to them. So Gino was like, hold up, like all this statue have a different kinds of weapon, and then some of them have an instrument. So does they use the instrument to kill too? And then the guards or at least the statue that look like guards attack you once you get close to them, but he doesn't know whether the statue holding an instrument does that. So now, I'm guessing out of panic or Jinwoo realized something, he starts shouting. He was like, "Everyone, like, run towards the statue with instrument." So,
Right,
so of course, everybody. So as far, like you said, as far Jinwoo's been right for everything he said. So everybody starts running to the statues with the instrument. And then once you stand right in front of the statue with instrument, whatever the instrument they're holding, they start playing it.
right,
So there's that's praising the Lord, I guess.
right. Number two was praise the Lord, but the the hunters themselves couldn't do it. They had to use the statues too, and there weren't many. They didn't say how many there were, but there definitely weren't many statues with instruments. So they had to hightail it to the first one, to the closest one, and they didn't. They also, I don't think Jim Woo spent time trying to figure out which one to run to. He just told them to run to the nearest one, and then so I believe that made Boss Man stop shooting his lasers of death. And so everyone's like, okay, we get another breather. Mr. Song.
Now
Um,
you forgot to mention how Jinwoo lost his feet. Because remember, because he's
oh, he did
dragging.
catch up to him.
Yeah, he's dragging. I keep on forgetting her name. What's her name? Um,
Juhi.
Juhi. He's dragging Juhi to the statue with instrument. But when they came in front of the statue with the instrument, it doesn't play. So Gino was like, "Oh, maybe it's only one person in one statue." So he dropped off Juhi and then he ran away. But at this point, Jinwoo is the only remaining one who doesn't have a statue yet. So now Bossman, the big statue, is aiming at Jinwoo at this point. But when the statue finally catch up to Jinwoo, well, not practically, he can catch up to Jinwoo whenever he wants. But
Right.
when he made that huge step that almost killed Jinwoo, Jinwoo like it's either jump or it's because of the shockwave he was thrown off, and then all of a sudden that momentum of him being thrown off made him stop to one statue that has a shield, and then that statue used his shield to almost kill Jinwoo, but thankfully it only caught his leg.
Right.
So
Which once again confirmed what Jim Woo says. If it's not an instrument, it's not a statue you can stand by. Only the
right,
ones of instruments were the ones that were safe. And like Benton said, again, Bossman is just taking his time, taking his sweet time, knowing that they can't escape. And so, he's got all the time in the world to just stomp around and basically make them feel the despair before their demise.
basically,
And so Jim Woo doesn't even realize right away. Actually, it seemed like he didn't realize until Juhi yelled, I think she did she call him Mister? Not that it matters, but Jim Woo, your leg, and then Jim Woo's like, like, oh man, it must have happened. It must have happened when I just dodged that shield right away. But hey, when you got that adrenaline pumping, that stuff really can happen. We've seen that in quite a different scenario. And again, Mr. Song, it may seem like it's easy to say, oh man, what's this guy doing? So much for the C rank or all that. But he's really enforcing what Jim Woo says, because out of the 15, the only three that were listening to Jim Woo without hesitation, well, the only two that were listening to him without hesitation were Juhi and Mr. Song. The rest of them needed to be convinced, which is why they died. And again, you got to put yourself in their shoes. In a situation of panic like that, why are you going to listen to the lowest ranking member, or the worst teammate, the weakest link? So you got to put yourself in their shoes. And so you got to understand it does make sense that they wouldn't listen. But Mr. Song and Juhi, they did, which is why at this point, they were they were definitely helping as well.
right. And then and when Jinwoo finally managed to find his statue, which is the singer, the statue stopped. The big statue stopped, and
Boss man.
then the boss man suddenly stopped, and then he swing his huge hand as if he not pointing, but like like how he directed towards to something, but not pointing. And then all
Right,
of a sudden, an altar right in front of the bossman statue suddenly show up.
right,
So it's an altar looking thing suddenly show up in the middle of the room. And
right.
then now, since it looks like altar, they were like, huh, he probably needs some sacrifice. At this point, there's only like, it's Jinwoo, Juhei, Mr. Song, and then the other dude that criticized Jinwoo, and some two other no name hunters with them. So
At
there's
most,
six
there
of
were
them.
six guys.
Yep, there's six of them now. And then when the altar shows up, the other guy that criticized Jinwoo, I don't know his name, I forgot.
Thing sheep.
Yeah, him. And then he was like, alright, obviously this is some sacrificial altar or something. So he pulled out his sword and then pointed this sword to Mr. Song, and he was like, look, all this death is because of you. Like since you're the leader and all that, it's your responsibility. So go there, it's your turn to atone your sin,
and
basically like that.
and and Mr. Song, being the man of just downright respect and honor that he is, was willing to accept that, and also realizing that, hey, we don't really have the time to discuss this. So yeah, so you're right. You're right. I will put the mantle on my shoulders. And so Mr. Song was gonna be he was willing to be the only sacrifice, but we quickly find out that the altar doesn't work that way.
Yep. So when Mr. Song stepped right next to the altar, a flame suddenly show up, and then he looked back. He was like, "Anybody figure out what's going on?" And then
Right. And it was a regular colored flame, right?
right, right, and then all of a sudden, Jinwoo was like, "Wait, can you carry me right next to the altar?" And then so one of the two no name hunter helped Jinwoo out because Jinwoo doesn't have a leg no more. And then when these two hunter carrying Jinwoo finally managed to go right next to the altar, three more flames show up. So there's four now. Right? And then
And
all of a sudden,
that's when Jim Woo figures out that each flame represents one person.
yep. And then so he told everybody like, "Hey, come here in the altar." So everybody's surrounding the altar at this point. So all six of them were standing right next to the altar, and then something happened. And then that something is the door starts to open up, like all the way up, like widely as it can be. And
Right.
then there's blue flames surrounding the normal flames.
Right.
And then this blue flames, I would just say, acts like a timer, because all this blue flame starts to like fade off slowly, but as it fades away, all the statues surrounding them start moving, and then it's like creeping in like towards them. All
So
of the statues.
Boss Man is on break. He's sitting back with his pork buns and his fruit punch, and he basically tells his buddies to take care of the rest, take care of these scraps.
They
And
just
so, like my buddy said, every single statue starts advancing towards them. Slow, menacing steps. But keep in mind, these are at least 12-foot statues, and they're metal statues. And so, stomping the ground with force. Shock waves are making everybody panic. All six of them, not many left. And so they're advancing. They're advancing towards them. And something else that's menacing is that each one has a different weapon. And so you're kind of thinking, putting yourself in their shoes. You're thinking,
mm,
oh man, okay, so this one is gonna just slice me in half. Oh man, this one's got a double-sided hammer. This one's just gonna smush me into mush, or they're thinking, oh man, how am I gonna die? How am I gonna die?
right. And then I like the way the concept of this entire dungeon, because it is just like game. Like until the very end. I don't know the name of the game, but this game indicates where so the statue is creeping in towards them, right? And then the only thing that you have to do is look at them. So as long as everybody is looking at the statue will stop.
Right,
So that's the only thing they have to do, look at them.
right.
But
And each go ahead.
like there's always a doubt, like in every single one of them.
Of course.
So it's like, yeah, yeah, nah, I'm not. I don't know if those flame rounds out. I don't know what's gonna happen next. So, yeah, they start to like doubt each other. They start to like, yeah, nah, the door is open, so I'm not gonna sit here and wait for a miracle to happen.
Right,
And
right.
then there's this one female. She just freak out, like she starts shouting. She freak out, then she run away, and then everybody was like, "Yo, stop! Like, just stay." But she ran all the way out of the door and scratched. Like, nothing happened to her. She managed to go out the door
And
just like that.
something that we have to keep in mind as the readers is that every single statue has to have eye contact with one of them for them to stop moving.
Yep.
So the less people there are to look at the statues, the quicker the statues advance towards them.
Yep.
And you gotta
Yep.
keep in mind, this dungeon is a gigantic. It's like an auditorium. It's a gigantic room, but remember these are gigantic statues.
So there's a lot of them. You gotta look to like a lot of them.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah,
there's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like
You're right.
I would say there was at least 50. That room is gigantic.
Yeah.
At
And
least 50.
so when this female leaves, everybody, like the five of them remaining, they know now that yeah, we can leave whenever we want. But the thing is, the door slightly closed when that female leaves.
Right.
And then there's one dude, he was like, man, I'm not even friends with y'all, so I'm not gonna stay here.
That's basically what he said.
He was like, man, nah, I gotta dip. He was like, man, I'm so sorry. Man, I hate this. Like, this is the type of character that I don't like. Like, if I'm protagonist, I will definitely get revenge on him. Cause this dude straight ass look at Jinwoo, and he was like, man, sorry, I don't think I can stay here any longer. And then he threw Jinwoo, cause he was holding Jinwoo, right?
Right, because
He
it
threw
was him and Juhi were carrying Jinwoo because Jinwoo was missing half his leg.
Yeah, yeah. And then this dude threw Jinwoo to the altar and then ran off.
Right.
And then Jinwoo was like, yo, no. But the dude just managed to go outside and the door closed, like tried to close again and then stop.
And something we got to keep in mind. I know you were probably about to say this. Something we got to keep in mind is think about it. He threw Jinwoo down, and yet who was Jinwoo concerned about
Everyone.
in the next moment? That same guy, not himself, is that guy. And so that just shows you how many different, just the different types of people in this world.
Right.
And
And then,
go
go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
Okay, and then so now two are gone. The girl, so the door closed slightly, and then this cowardly guy, and so the door closed slightly again. I would say at this point the door is still more than halfway open, but here's the thing. I'm sure Jimu was thinking this because I was thinking this. We can't assume that it's only going to close slightly each and every time just because it was for them. Like who knows? The door might with the next person. I was thinking the door might close, all the way except for a tiny crack. We can't jump to assumptions. But so now two of the blue flames disappear.
No,
And
like the regular one.
regular, okay. The regular flames disappear, and Mr. Song's trying to is in his mind he's boggled because he's like I still don't understand how this works because I thought they were asking for a sacrifice. Now they're letting us leave. All right, so help me out. So what happened after that?
So when they finally figure out, Jinwoo finally figure out what's going on. So the remaining four, he shouted. He was like, "Just don't move. Like just look at the statue and all that, and then just let the blue flame run out." But like everybody's in a state of panic, especially the
Sang
dude.
Sheik?
What's his name?
Sang Sheik?
Yeah, yeah, him. And then he was like, yeah, um, Mr. Song was like, hey, maybe we just wait until the blue flames come out, because the blue flame acts like a timer.
Right.
So we probably be able to leave once all the blue flame disappear. And then what's his name? Shushik, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He was like, yeah, Mr. Song, you probably right. Like, but could there's a possibility that the door just gonna close completely when the blue flame runs out. So there's a doubt on this point. Like he's
Right. And then
doubting it.
we got to keep in mind at this point there's only four left.
Yeah. And then
Jinwoo, Mr. Song, Juhi, and Sang Shi.
and then then Jinwoo realized it, like, yeah, that's right. That's why he didn't manage to say anything. And then this Sheik guy said something again. He was like, "Yeah, to be honest, I never imagined that someone weak as you could be helpful." So he's probably looking or talking to Jinwoo at this point. Then he was like, "Yeah, I always look down on you. I never really expect anything from you, even when you join our party." Then he was like, "A lot of people die when we enter the room, but the ones are alive because of you,
Right.
all because you managed to solve all the riddles, and I'm also alive because of you." And then he thanked Jinwoo, and then
Right.
yeah, Shang-Chi, so that's his name. And then all of a sudden, this Shang-Chi dude dropped his sword. He was like, "But," and he started crying. He was like, "I also have a family. Like, I don't want to die here." And
Right.
then all he hear is, "I'm sorry. I don't think I can stay here any longer." So he ran away too. So
Yep.
leaving only three people on that altar.
Right. Now,
The
how much did
third,
the door close after the third person left?
I mean, assuming how it goes, I would say the door will completely close as long as there's one person gonna leave behind.
Right.
So yeah, it does slowly close off, but as long as there's one person left behind, it's not gonna close completely.
Right. And then at this point, something to keep in mind before I make the point. Jim Woo is still worried about his comrades more than himself. This guy's missing half his leg. I don't even think he mentions his blood loss. If he does, it's only for a second. And so he's worried about his teammates' lives, and he's at the same, but it's not a, because there's a difference between a panic worry and a concern worry. It's a concern worry. So basically, he's able to, he's thinking about, getting his teammates out, but also he's trying to analyze what's going on in the room, and he stays calm until the moment where he needs to yell, get down or everybody worship or something like that. So he's great at analyzing, and he's great under pressure. We see that early on.
Right.
And so okay, so now the statues, how close were they?
Well, at this point, they're close, but not
Right.
enough for them to like at least swing or kill them. But yeah, they're relatively close.
Right. And we know they're not that close because remember, they're huge statues and they have huge weapons. And
Right.
so we know they're not in killing range. And so they were still a good ways away, but yeah, getting pretty close to that altar. And it's a small altar that was in the middle of the room. And of course, a boss man is still sitting back, chilling, doesn't need to do a single thing. He's punched out for his shift. And so, statues are moving forward. Jim Woo I think he was trying to think of the third commandment, right?
Now, at this point, they already know the schematics. Like they
Right.
already know. It's just they
I
don't
meant
know the
he
outcome.
was trying to think of what it meant. Is
Right,
what I meant.
right, right. But yeah, there were the time where Jinwoo no Mr. Song, he was like, yeah, y'all young, so y'all can go ahead, and then I'm just gonna take the blunt. Like I'm just gonna sacrifice myself. Basically, you
Right.
both can leave.
Right.
But all of the sudden, Ju he out of like fear, and then I'm guessing part of it is like having a mana loss because he keep on healing Jinwoo. He can't move his leg. He can't. She can't move her legs no more, so she's completely paralyzed.
Yeah, and then at that point we realize how important mana is because she actually says she can't even budge her legs,
Yep.
and because the animation is so good, we see the motion of her trying to even like move. Because remember, she's been kneeling down, healing Jim Woo for at least like 10 minutes. And so, but it's continuous healing nonstop. And so she can't even stand up. And so Jim Woo and Mr. Song, they're pretty much on the same page, despite the fact that Mr. Song, he was ready to sacrifice himself without a doubt. They're on the same page, and they both know they got to save Juhi, and Juhi's even saying at this point, "No, I'll be the one to stay." So we see how selfless she is as well. Just all three of them, very selfless. And so Mr. Song does the classic anime chop to. There's a name for it, and I'll have that next time. But the classic anime chop knocks her unconscious safely, and so puts her on his back. Looks back at Jin Woo, and what does he say to Jin Woo? Like, what are his last words?
Nah, Gino was the one who said, nah, he said sorry, but there's really isn't time or any time left. And then Gino was just like, yeah, please take care of her, which is Chugi. And then Mr. Song just replied, yeah, I will. And then like, man, this guy just like all of them were sprinting except for this guy. He just walk away, like walk outside the gate.
Casual stroll.
That, yep, because like he, I would say that makes him cool. Because this is just my opinion. 'Cause, like he already know the rules and he tries to
Right,
make them weird.
right,
So like yeah, we know they won't swing even if they
right.
walk. We already know that. So like yeah,
Right,
he
because the
casually
other
walked
the other
away.
the other three sprinted out, as if they could die any second. But yeah, he just takes his time getting Miss Juhi out because being the more experienced hunter that he is, and with dungeons, he knows there's certain rules, and then he also trusted in Jinwoo's analogy,
Right.
and
Nah,
so there was one.
Gene Woo left alone.
Jin Woo, Ben, what was going through this guy's head as those statues continued to advance?
He was like, man, I got families too. What you mean?
Right, right,
Like,
right.
yo,
But just because I don't got kids, I don't got family. It's like that.
right. Yo, what you mean? Like, I got a sister.
Got
Like,
a mother.
yo, yo, that made me sad. And then like, right when I first saw it, I was like, yo, that that's how you can see people's greed, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably one of those people who's just gonna run away. Cause like, yo,
Right, right. We got to be honest with ourselves. I don't know what I would do in this situation. I think I can't even say. I'm not even gonna say because I don't know. But one more thing. Even though he's long gone, he and Juhi are long gone. One more thing about Mr. Song. I think just the little that we learned about him that fast. I think he actually, if it wasn't for Jim Woo's leg, he would have pushed Jim Woo out. He would have forced them to leave, and so he could
right,
sacrifice himself, being the responsible guy that he is. But remember, Jim Woo only had half a leg, and so he couldn't carry Juhi out if he tried. And so it really, Mr. Song had to go. So we as the audience have to keep that in mind.
yeah, they're just being logical at this point.
Right,
Like, no sense of panic whatsoever.
right. And
Like, yeah,
so the statues are very close at this point because remember all of them are moving towards him and big statues take big steps. They're getting close. But remember, despite how fast they're advancing, when you're in a life or death situation, thankfully I haven't been in one, so I don't speak from experience. But I think it's safe to say when you're in a life or death situation. Oh wait a second, Metro, the can coming for me, my sacrificial moment. That's a story for another time, people. Um, so when your life's flashing at you, in the moment, despite how fast things are happening, time stops for you? What do you think about that? Like when you're thinking about all those things your whole life at once, doesn't it seem like time slows down dramatically?
Yeah, yeah. Because like I would say, I would say it's just your mind is telling you everything all at once.
Right.
Because that's what they call, how you call it, your life
Life
flashes
is
back in.
flashing before your eyes.
Yep, there you go. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. Plus, he got this fear and all that. Man, I love the way, when he already know he's hopeless, but he grabbed this Mr. She's sword and then grabbed it, and then he was like, man, before I die, I'm gonna take one with me. I was like, man, this guy's courage.
Coming
Like
from the world's weakest hunter.
right. And then all of the sudden, tell me what pops out, Josh. Tell me what pops out all of the sudden.
Hey, do any of you play RPGs? Because if you do, you're gonna like this. A prompt came up, popped up last minute. The knight was about to swing, and Jinwoo and both adrenaline and just pure courage was about to swing at him, knowing he didn't stand a chance, was still swinging. But boom, pause that because we get a prompt saying, "Would you like to continue? Would you like to accept Secret Quest Courage of the Week?"
Courage of the week.
And this prompt makes everything pause. And so the statue swinging at Jinwoo pauses. All the other ones, wherever they were, paused. Not that it matters. It only takes one of those, one swing from a single statue to kill a human. One effortless swing. And so Jinwoo was thinking, like, what is this? He's never seen anything like this before. And I like the way the prompt looks because, I mean, what else can you think about, besides an RPG? What do you think about that?
Um, I love it. I love the concept. I mean, I've seen a lot of this before. Like RPG type manga or anime, but I don't think I won't grow old with this. I won't grow old with this because life will be easier with it. At least for my how you call it, my opinion. But yeah, like when this pops out, it's hilarious. Not hilarious, but like it's both it's both me hoping that there's something good gonna happen, which is there is. But the thing that triggers me is what the message of the prompt, because the
The
message
the
was like,
you have less than a second to accept this.
right, because he was like, yeah, nah, because he says, if you do not accept, your heart will stop approximately 0.02 seconds
Not even
later.
not even half a second.
Not even half a second. And then, will you accept? And then there's two buttons, accept or refuse. Jinwoo was like, wait, wait. He said, he said, he said, accept. What's going on? And
Right.
then, there's another prompt coming out. He was like, you do not have much time remaining.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
if you,
So we see that whoever's giving them this option is showing mercy. Like, so you can accept it or not? Do you not see the timer on this thing?
yeah.
And yeah, and
And
so
then,
yeah, Jim Woo accepts as because he's not giving up, and then begins the reawakening.
yep, yep. The alarm said, or the prompt said, welcome player. And then all of a sudden, Jinwoo lit up. And then I'm guessing he passed out from this point. And then boom, end of the phase one. The next thing he saw is the ceiling of
Secret
a
Quest,
of
Courage of the Weak accepted.
"Rrr."
accepted.
And the next thing he saw is the ceiling of the hospital.
Yep. And then so he wakes up in this hospital, and he's got his leg back, and let me see what else was he thinking. He's still worried about what happened to his friends. First and foremost, was
Now
his sister?
he worried only at Mr. Song and Ju Hee at this point. He does not
Right,
care to anybody else.
right. Good catch. Um, did his sister come this early, or was that a little later?
Well, nah, the very first visitor that he came in is one of the Hunter Association. Cause I think
From the monitoring
I
the
need
monitoring division.
yep, the
Um,
inspectors. Uh,
uh, I believe it was it Huang Dong Soo?
I need I'm not really sure. I
We'll,
need to
we'll get
remember his
that
name.
name for you guys. But yeah, two members of the monitoring division, which are they're basically the uh, I mean, as their title states, the watchers of the Hunters Association. And the guys in suits, so basically the men in black walk in, and they're trying to figure out what exactly happened. I don't know how much. I don't remember how much information they got from Mr. Song, because they still wanted to question Jin Woo pretty hard, considering they wanted to. At what point did they test his break out the magic power detector?
Now, cause what they say is the one of the strongest. Well, it doesn't really say it yet, but they mentioned White Tigers Guild. So another strong guild went in just to investigate what's going on, but there's nothing left there. Like it's just an empty space. But
Right,
all of the survivor is telling the same story, like what they saw there, what happened there, all of every single one of them. But the only thing is Jean Woo is supposed to be the only person left there. But surprise, surprise, when this strong guild or the White Tiger Guild shows up, they saw Jinwoo there, um, in the middle of everything, but there's no statue to be found.
right,
Nothing, nothing. He's just laying on the ground, and then
right.
now this Hunter Association guy, they think that yeah, there's a chance that you are reawakening. So we're gonna measure you up. We're gonna measure how strong are you,
Yep.
because
So
there's no way in hell that everybody managed to go out, and then they're telling the same story where you're the only one left. You know.
yep. So they tell a hospitalized Jim Woo to simply put his hand on the magic detector, which is basically just a if you guys played with the little fortune teller machines back as a kid, it's just a bigger version of that. It looks pretty goofy. But anyway, they tell him to put his hand on it, and they're expecting this. Well, I don't know what number they expected, but they're expecting a high number because, their experience, and they're like, okay, this might be a case of reawakening,
Yeah.
crazy story. And
Plus
they
plus
find, oh, go ahead.
they kind of expect him to be reawakened, considering that a huge statue can one hit someone. Because you gotta understand, this is supposed to be a D rank, but a
Right,
one swoop, that's too much, at
right,
least for them. And then now, the Hunter Association would think this is just a lie, but everybody thinks, or all the survivors telling them the same story. So there's only one reason or one only thing could actually happen is Jinwoo being reawakening, and then he wiped out every statue there is.
Right. And
So
if you,
that's why they're trying to measure his power, because everybody keep on saying that there's a statue, but when the guild or the other guild went there to investigate, there's no statue to be found.
right. And something that we were all wondering, oh man, how, why does a D rank dungeon have such a strong boss room? Well, it's called a double layer, which is
Yep.
basically means regardless of the level of the dungeon, the boss room can be a lower rank or a higher rank. And I don't remember the rate at which this situation happens, but it's rare. So just keep that in mind as you read. But so yeah, Jimwoo puts his hand on the machine, and the two boys in suits are expecting a big number, and Jinwoo gets a 10, a solid 10. But
And
but this ain't no 10 out of 10.
the average of E rank is 70.
Right. And that's
That's
an
the
E
lowest.
rank. That's even the lowest. Even the lowest E rank is supposed to be at least a 70, and
But
Jim was a 10.
you know what they said? Because so if you're awakening, of course you're stronger than the average human.
Right.
So Jinwoo, without they I think he's the one who said it. Like the only thing that distinguished him as a normal human is his slight strength and his regeneration. That's it. That's it. So he's
Right.
practically just an average human being. Like
Right.
he's no special.
Right. And remember, from the beginning, we see that there's a big difference between the average human and then the human that becomes a hunter. But
Right.
Jin Woo is the exception, and he's a big exception because again, the lowest E rank is supposed to be at least a 70, and so the boys in suits, they figure that no more questions need to be asked, and they don't even give him a business card,
Yeah.
and, and so they leave. What happens after that?
They were like, man, I guess trash will be the like
Trash
nah
will be
they
trash.
yeah, like they clearly said wait, where is it, when they scanned Gene Woo, um they said it was like, yeah, I guess trash is trash through and through.
Right, that's what it was.
And and then the guy was like, yeah, it looks like we suspected you for no reason, because like I said, there's no way in hell everybody's saying that there's a statue, but when the white tiger went in, there's nothing left. So they only assume that, yeah, Jigu killed them. But when they look, it's not him.
Right, and so a little after this, Jim Woo notices that there are still prompts, just like the one that popped up right before he was about to get slaughtered. There are still prompts that are popping up, and he's putting his hand through them, and he's realizing, okay, I'm really seeing these, but he hasn't accepted that they're real. And what a mistake that is. What happens after
Nah,
that?
when he saw the prompt, he was like, "Are they not seeing this?"
Right,
Because they're,
right,
they're they're talking to the man in the suit. But when they left, he was like, "Huh." The prompt said there's unread mail, but
right,
Jinwoo was kind of hesitant to open it until his sister showed up,
right,
and then they have a smack for a little bit, and then like, yeah, you always get injured and all that, and then he so of course that's his sister, so he asked his sister, it was like, yo, like,
you don't
can
see
you
this?
see can you see this prompt? And then his sister was like, yeah, now you need some rest.
Right.
And then he was like, yeah, because something here says unread message. And then his sister was like, well, if there's an unread message, I guess you got to read it, right?
Right.
And then Jinwoo like pry open it right in front of the sister, but the sister just think that he's stupid, or like
He's just lost it
delusional. Yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
yeah, from
He
being in
lost
a
it,
crazy situation.
and then when he opened the mail or the mailbox, it says "Welcome, player," and then and read, and then right below it it says "Daily quest, preparing to become strong, has arrived," and then another and read,
Right. And then
and then
go ahead.
and then when the sun's down, his sister decides to leave, and then another prompt came out, and then the first prompt said the system will help players grow, and then if he failed to obey the system order, there may be a penalty, and
Right.
then another prompt came out, your rewards has arrived, and then so those three prompts came out,
Right. And
and
then
then
Jim Woo, he analyzes, being the analyst that he is, he comes to the conclusion that um, this, well, he calls it the system. And so he realizes this is basically a summed up version of terms and conditions. So it's explained, the system is explaining what's going on. But he doesn't believe it, not quite yet. Despite reading all this, he doesn't believe it. And the third prompt the third prompt was the daily quest, and it lists 4 exercises for him to do. And I don't remember exactly what they are, but guys, just think
uh,
One Punch Man.
yep,
One
yep.
Punch
It's a
Man
one punch
workout.
man regimen, yo. It's a one punch man regimen.
And if you haven't seen One Punch, what are you doing?
Man, 100 push up, 100 curl ups, and then I think yeah, it's four, but there's two curl ups. Like there's two curl ups, and then there's
No, no,
100.
no, no. I thought it was 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats.
Yeah, there's a squats and then 10-kilometer running.
Right.
So failing all these daily quests will bring
May
punishment.
result in a penalty.
Yep.
And Jim Woo took that may pretty lightly.
Yeah, he
And
was like, man, I'm sick. Like I'm here in the hospital. What makes you like? Is this a joke?
right,
Nah.
even though underneath the prompt there was a clear timer,
Yep.
and so it's basically a stopwatch timer on the prompt, and you see it taken and taken away, but our boy pays no attention to it, and he's tired. Who can blame him for being tired? And he just passes out. Well, when he wakes up, he is not in that same hospital bed. Benton, where's he at?
The earth, the his hospital room start like shaking where he thought it was earthquake. And then he woke up. He was like, "Oh, what's going on?" And then all of a sudden, the entire scenario changed, and he was in a look like a desert. Nah,
Yeah,
it's actually just a desert. And then he
right.
was like, "Where am I? A desert?" And then all of a sudden, a huge centipede came out to it, like on his back. Like when I say huge, it's a huge centipede.
Right,
And then
right.
he got 4 hours. He and the prompts showed up again. He
And the
was like,
first thing
yeah,
it says is survive.
yep, penalty quest, survive. The goal is survive until the time runs out, and
And
that's
that
four
timer says
hours.
4 hours.
Yo,
If you guys watch the Angry Joe show, you got to say it with the emphasis. 4 hours.
hours.
And so
Hey,
there's no
nah,
time to analyze the situation this time, but there is time to do one thing, and that is get his butt out of here. So he just starts Terminator running as fast as he can. Something we forgot to mention, there's more than one centipede, guys. So,
oh yeah, definitely.
yeah. And so we don't see much of what happens. And I mean, do we really need to? We know Jim Woo's defenseless. He's still We can assume he's fatigued from everything he went through. I believe he was asleep for 3 days straight. But after all he's been through, he still needs rest. But I tell you what, no one's thinking about rest. When adrenaline starts pumping, the body shows us amazing things. And so the next thing we see is that he survives. He's back at the hospital room, drenched with enough sweat that you would have thought he just dove in a pool of sweat. And we see the penalty quest has been completed. And of course, it's complete because if not, he'd be dead.
Right. So he came back magically on his room. It's just like I would say it like this. It's just like a page of notebook where all of the sudden he was running, and then the next thing he knows is inside the hospital room already. So he's like you said, he's drenched with sweat, and he got like a sand in toe. Like
Right.
there's a sand on his hospital room. So
Right.
he's not tripping. Like this is for real.
Right. And
And then the next morning, the next morning, he was talk of the town. They were like, "Yeah, there's a patient named Shin Jong Woo. I heard he's a hunter." Like, yeah, 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 yeah. But he's running every day now. I saw
right.
him run.
Right. And he quickly corrected that mistake. And we see his he already looked like to be a guy in shape, but just not an ounce of muscle on him. But that quickly changes because he sticks to his regiment, and we see that sticking to a regiment day in and day out pays off because one of the nurses come to help him, and they can't. One moment, man, and he stopped. He's banging out push-ups as if he's got a drill instructor right in front of him. And then, she's just looking at it. And it's funny because she's looking at his physique, she's drooling over the guy. And he's just like, ma'am, can I help you with something?
Right, right. Like, yo, like he is ripped. Like he's ripped. Like you, cause he has like how you call it? His theory is because every time he levels up, he can view his status,
Right.
and then he can there's a points just like games, just exactly just like games,
Oh, you mean the RPG? Is that what you mean?
right? You can distribute your points every time you level up.
Right.
So he start like he's smart, so he be spreading, going towards strength and agility and all that. And then his reward, he has every time he do his daily quest, he has a reward. I think he can choose until 4 or 3,
It starts
something like
off
that.
as 3, but he doesn't realize this, but actually he didn't realize right away. So at first he was actually only accepting 1, but he realizes that he can accept all 3 eventually. So at first, I guess we can assume that he wasn't getting as much benefit because he wasn't accepting all 3 rewards. And then the rewards would usually be, of course, you got to have your points to allocate your stats because this is a RPG. And then the second would be the third is some form of currency. What was the second reward?
Now, the first one is I think it's
Some type
recovery.
of potion or
Hold on, because I'm looking at it now. I think the first one is recovery, and then
well, I mean, but exactly. Well, I'm talking about like exactly what it was. Like it was a potion, right?
wait, what potion? What are you talking about? The
So,
reward?
for his rewards, you know how all 3 rewards. Something I like is that they were all different rewards. So
Oh,
one was
nah, nah,
points.
nah. I,
Oh,
I, I
good, good.
think I know what you're talking about now. So he can only choose one.
Okay,
And then the first one is status recovery. And then the second reward is points, like like three status points.
right,
And then the third one is a random box.
right,
And then as usual, if you choose the status or the status recovery, like that heals you, and then your fatigue is gone. Everything. You completely healthy. You're back to
And you
normal.
feel brand new, like you just stepped out the shower.
Yes, sir. And then the status reward, the stat points. You already know, like the one that you did distribute to like your like strength, agility, and all that. So he got
Right,
three of those.
because as we know, there's always different stats, but you got to have, your basic ones are your strength stat, your speed or your agility stat, and your stamina stat. That's pretty much those are the three you're going to see in every single case.
And
And Jim Woo has a lot in common with this guy I'm talking to right here because he puts all his points in one thing. Sheesh.
I'm all
And
in. I'm
go
all
ahead, go
in.
ahead.
But yeah, the other reward is a random box. So we already know the recovery, which is that, and then the other thing that benefits, or the benefits that Gene will receive, is he has an inventory, just like Kate. He got skills, or most of his skill is passive from now. So no, 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 not all passive. He got muscularity, which is a passive skill,
Right.
and then he has another skill which is unknown, but it's a max level for now at least. It's unknown. And then he got one active skill. Active skill is the active skill is a skill that I guess I would say something that you need to activate or shout or something like that. But this skill is sprint. So basically, add some movement speed for G. So for now, he has one skill and two passive skills.
Right. And he decides right away to put all his points into strength. Um I'm not I don't remember exactly why he chose strength. Uh do you?
Nah, I think, oh, because the one thing that I like about this manga is they put the stats on the very end, at the end of like the chapter, like every single stats included in his skills. So for the first one, he didn't really show it yet. But yeah, you're right. He put most of his stats on strength for the very reason of like that's what he thinks that can help him.
Right. And then when he one of those requests was a random box, and I believe the random box is when we are introduced to instant dungeon keys, correct?
Yes, sir. It's where he got his very first dungeon key.
Right. And then he's able to level up where he finds out he's able to level up pretty much when he wants and to the extent that he wants. Because as soon as you activate this key, it opens a doorway into the instant dungeon. And being the guy that he is, he starts to analyze, and then he notices that there, despite the fact he remembers where he entered, that he can't leave, and so he doesn't panic, and he doesn't look for a way out right away. He assumes that he has to, just like a normal dungeon, that he has to beat the boss to get out, and he doesn't start to freak out. So he gets put into this. Uh, he enters through a place called Hapjeong Station, and it's basically a subway. But this subway turns into I would say, a decrepit, um, abandoned, type atmosphere to it. And so, dark hallways, uh, decrepit walls and all that. So you know,
Basically, like a apocalypse scenario,
right,
world apocalypse
right,
scenario.
and so he's walking through, and he encounters his very first enemy, the Steel Fang Riken,
Right, sir.
and what was his did he how did he try to approach the fight at first? I know it was barehanded.
At first, at first he was scared. Like, again, I can't fight this because he knows already. Like he knows he's weak. So at first he was dodging it while the Fang Riken like attacking him, but it got to the point was he was like, yeah, nah, I've seen more pressure or I've seen way more scarier than this, and then that reminds him of the statues that he went through. So he was like, yeah, this is just a dog. Like I
Right.
shouldn't
And
be scared.
right. And that's something that's relatable to us all because whenever we go through just super crappy situation, you can compare anything else to it and it's like, wow, at least it's not as bad as that. So
Right.
something very relatable. Um
And then yeah,
this
he at first he just keep on dodging, and then he finally made like he he still himself, and he was like, yeah, I won't die. I will accept this. So he punches the Fang Riken, and then this dog fling to another dimension. Like he's just fly away, and then
right.
Jinwoo was like, wait, I did that?
Right.
Like, yo,
And then sorry guys, didn't give you any context. The Steel Fang Riken is just think of a bigger Bengal tiger with a with steel. It's got like a steel clasp on its jaw for extra damage. And so you know this the Riken goes flying, and you know Jinwoo quickly realizes, okay, this 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 thing is real. Like, and those 10 points, those 9 points that I put in his strength, like I can see a huge difference already. And
right,
so he takes the and despite how menacing it looked, it really the Steel Fang Riken is a low. And, oh, he realizes. I think he looks at the name. Does he realize right away that the name color, the title color, means something? Like it means the strength level of the enemy.
well, um, he notices it. Yes, he notices it, but he managed to kill at least one Riken Fang first by pulling out. Uh, First one is hand to hand. He punched the other one, and then another one shows up, which is he was like, yeah, I wish I have a weapon and all that, and then he saw Mr. Sheik's
Yep.
sword on his inventory, so he managed to pull that out. And
Oh,
then,
hold on. Hold on. I think I heard somebody ask where he pulled it from. Do you not know what an invent? Don't you play RPGs? So yeah, so he whips out Sang Shik's sword, the very same sword that he was going to use to fight to his very last breath back in the double layer dungeon. It got transported with him. So he pulls out the sword. He I like how he says, Mr. Sang Shik, I have to borrow your sword. I don't really
right,
think the guy's looking for it back, but hey, that's the respectable protagonist we have. And so, you know, he puts the sword to work. He starts slaughtering these guys. And then that's when he notices. I got ahead of myself. That's when he notices. You know, wait. Um, this Riken's title. I don't know why I said title. This Riken's name. His is red instead of white because at first it just said Steel Fang Riken in white. over top of the enemy. But over top of this one, it says Steel Fang Raiken in red. And so he realizes, okay, these ones are stronger. And as he's fighting, he realizes that they're stronger, but they don't give him, because they're such weak enemies, they don't give him any more trouble. And it's more his fatigue actually that's giving him trouble, not the enemies at all.
But to answer your question earlier about how he realized the name change or their strength is because they're not Rick Fang doesn't give him XP no more.
Right,
So that's when he realized, oh, red name, that means um they're stronger than me, or they
right.
probably or they give me at least XP.
Right, and so the Rikens with a white name, they weren't giving him any X. He hit level 15, I believe, and at that point he wasn't. I think that's when he wasn't getting any XP, and then so yeah, our boy was farming.
Yeah, yep, he's grinding. He's grinding. I yeah.
Yeah, and so I don't remember. We can. I remember it was a few hours, but I don't remember exactly how much time it passed. But by level 15, he had 1105 health, 200 MP, and I don't know what his strength was, but he was putting all his points into strength. So the rest of the stats. Oh, and by the something to keep in mind: health and magic points. They're both separated from the rest of the stats, just like your average RPG. And so he put all his points in his strength, even up to level 15. And so everything else was still 10, right? All those other stats were still 10.
Yep, yep. I think the at this point he got 20 strength, and then the rest is 11.
11. Okay.
So yeah, yeah. But he was he was still fighting the Fang Riken until he doesn't really give them much XP anymore.
Right.
And then he also received, so he keep on killing Wolf. So now he received a title which is called Wolf Slayer.
Right. Because two other enemies started to show up. We're not sure exactly how far he was advancing. Actually, I don't think he had advanced far. I think the enemies came to him.
Yeah.
Um, and so two other enemies showed up. One was, I believe, is a goblin or a
Nah, nah,
skeleton.
that it's all beast.
Okay,
So like
okay. I know it was a wolf and one other thing.
the only the only thing that changed is as long as he goes down into like as long as how he go deeper, like there's steps or a stair, the enemy goes stronger. So he start fighting like
That's what it
monkey
was.
looking thing, and
That's what it
then
was.
a panther, a panther looking thing. So there's three now. So first is the Steel Fang Riken,
Right.
and then there's this monkey, and
And then now it's the wolves.
yep.
Yep.
So the panther looking thing, and I
Yeah.
think the only thing that, or I would say the only thing that he can proceed or manage to finish this dungeon, because like Josh said, he can't leave until he managed to finish this dungeon. And
Right.
then he can tell, or he can sense the boss aura from the bottom, like in the stairs. And
Right.
then from that he knows, well, I can't fight this yet. So that's why he's grinding. But the
Right.
problem is the problem is the sword that he's using lost its durability.
Yeah, because that's how hard he was grinding, and then it doesn't matter how weak the enemy is. Over time, durability goes down. He doesn't know how to repair it. But he slayed so many wolves in particular that he gained his first title, the Wolf Slayer, which
Yes,
nets
sir.
you plus 40 XP against beast monsters, which is something that helped him level up so fast.
Yep. He managed to get that title. I think that's add damage too. Oh,
Okay, and then at this point, he's figured out
oh yeah,
that
yeah, 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 yeah. Hunter proficient.
yeah, and then he also figures out that when it comes to enemy names, white is weak, orange is strong, and red is I'm in danger. That's at least that's what I translated it to.
Yeah, I would say the same. Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
okay, so now he's decided, okay, I've grinded enough, and I'm gonna go take on this boss. Um, how far? He didn't have to go far to get to the boss, right? Because like you said, he sensed his presence.
yeah, he's just basically. So you know
Was it
the
just
train.
next room?
You know the subway station. So
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the
Did he just go downstairs?
yeah, yeah. So he basically went down to where the well, what is it called?
Where the trains would be.
Yeah. So first, I would say where the first one he came down is, I would say there's 3 floors because there
Right, and
wasn't really that
the
much.
right, exactly. And then, like I said, he didn't do too much walking, and so the third floor would be the boss room.
Yep. So when he went down,
Wait. Cue boss music.
oh, Dorimi.
Well, we'll work on that, guys. But yeah, so he goes down. It leads to another, and it leads to another dark area. Just picture a subway, a pitch black subway. Besides the white walls and stuff. And here we meet Swamp Ruler. Oh, I thought you were gonna take over.
Dorimi. I thought the background music.
Blue Poison Fangs, Rafaka.
Yes, sir. It was
Don't pull any punches with these names. And so, okay, so this is an armored serpent. Now he doesn't realize this at first, but he goes to he this is a huge serpent. I would say not as big as the centipedes from the penalty dungeon, but
nah.
it's a giant serpent. It's a giant serpent. Um, if you want a comparison, it fills up the entire subway.
I would just say it's same size as train.
Same size as what?
A train. I mean,
No, man, he was bigger than that train.
yeah,
That
yeah,
thing
yeah,
was coiling around the subway.
yeah. You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but so Rasaka comes at him. He's dodging, and not much time to think. So he acts, and so
yeah.
goes for the attack. Oh, what'd you say?
The moment Jin Woo steps on the very last step, this snake charge up, no hesitation whatsoever. Like most of the time, like if you're in a boss fight, you see your enemy. Probably if the enemy can talk, there's a dialogue. Nah, this
Right,
boss is
a five
different.
a 5 minute brag.
The moment Jin Woo steps below, I mean the moment Jin Woo was seen, this boss charged, no hesitation whatsoever.
Right, and again, we see that in the great illustration. We see the speed. It's easy to see the speed that the serpent's going at because you see the wind blazing around him, and then that's when the sweat starts to fly as Jinwoo doesn't have any time to think, and so you react.
Yes, sir. But he managed to block it though. He blocked it, but he was thrown away. He was thrown away.
Right, and he's thrown to the wall, and we also know that the serpent not only has speed but high attack, because there's an indentation on the wall that Jinwoo is flinged into, and I believe I don't know how much damage he takes, but it's a good portion of damage. And so he finds
He's
out
just
right away,
bleeding
okay,
out. That's what it is. He
yeah,
bleeds out.
and so right, he finds out right away, okay, that I cannot let this fight drag on.
And then the the scale of the snake, Gene will try to stop it, no avail. And then the scale is just tough that even the sword that Gene was holding broke, like it just
Right,
shattered.
and that was at the beginning of the fight. And so our boy's barehanded now. His enemy, he knows he's facing an enemy with speed, attack, and armor. And
Mm,
so, how does he approach?
well, the fights. So this is what happened with the fight. First, the snake came towards him. Like try to like swing the back of his tail.
Right,
So Gene will block it using the broken sword, and then if the scale is tough when there's like how you call it, like sparks,
right,
like there's a spark when he was trying to block it.
right,
And then so like he was like I won't say scratching it, but like because the snake is moving forward. I would assume the snake is moving forward while
yeah,
swinging that tail towards Jinwoo.
yeah,
But Jinwoo managed to block it. He got thrown off for a little bit, but and then tried to stop or swing at this the snake, but to
right,
no avail. And then all of a sudden the snake look at him again, and then you'll see his fang. His fang is no ordinary fang, but a fang that looks like a sword.
right.
And then Gene will try to block it because obviously the snake is trying to like bit him or something. And then all of a sudden, Gene Woo has this flashback, and then he was talking to Mr. Song, and then he was like, "Yeah, I have to be strong because I want to escape my past, like to escape from my past as the weakest."
Right.
And he remembered the conversation between him and Mr. Song. He was like, Jinwoo was like, the world's weakest hunter? And Mr. Song was like, that's right. There's rumors about you recently. Did you not know? And then there seems to be the people who childishly do things like this. And then sabi lang, and then Mr. Song was like, yeah, don't discourage yourself by like hearing these people calling you the weakest hunter in the world. And then Jinwoo was like, yeah, nah, I'm not about to that. And then he said the nickname has been stuck with him because he's weak,
Right.
and then his weakness isn't something to brag about. And then he said he this is while he's fighting the snake, he's yelling like he's going all out yelling. He was like, I know just how weak I am. And then he
Right.
swing that sword to the snake, and
Yeah,
then
guys, because you know how you got to talk yourself through tough situations, and so you might say, oh man, he's got all this time to do thinking while he's fighting this giant snake. But sometimes you got to talk yourself through stuff and boost yourself up. Um, look at Bruce Lee, yelling out with every single multi kick or whatever move he's doing. You got to talk yourself through some of these situations, or put some emphasis in whatever you're saying. And so he's basically while he's dodging and both blocking these attacks, he's boosting himself up, and you start to see his you actually start to see more serious, far more serious expressions on his face, expressions that we haven't seen him have before, expressions of confidence.
yep. And then as as at same time he was fighting, he was like, well, strength, a pressuring force that squeeze your head. Because remember, he remembered this flashback where he was facing the huge statue, and he was like, something pressure that can make you yield. Even false hypocrisy won't protect me. So he's basically saying like, there's there's nothing in the world that can protect you as long as you go as long as you're weak.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then he remember he remember people that abandoned him while he was in the dungeon, the overwhelming the overwhelming strength that he saw on that giant statue, you know, all that, and then all the times that he was nearly dying every time he come out of the dungeon, he was like, well, I'm not gonna be betrayed, or I'm not gonna stay weak anymore. But the moment he said that, he swing his sword, and then the snake dodged it, or I would say blocked it, and then this snake swing his tail to Jinwoo's back, and then Jinwoo fling all the way to the wall, and then
Right.
like made the like giant hole in the wall,
Yeah.
and then now Jinwoo was just saying to himself like, yeah, I have to become even more stronger. And then you see this. I like the way like every time he motivates himself, like a spark of like color violet electricity, or I would say aura coming out of her. And then he at this moment, the snake is charging up towards Jinwoo, and
Right.
then Jinwoo is just waiting for that moment. I don't know what moment he's waiting, but he's waiting at this moment. And then when the snake finally charged up towards him, he stabbed the snake on the side, but to no avail. And then the snake, how would I say it? The snake tried to turn around in order to bite Jinwoo, but Jinwoo managed to dodge it and grab the snake right next to his mouth. So he's that close to the mouth.
Right.
And then he practically, I would say, strangle it. He's trying to strangle the snake. And just like Josh said earlier, he put his all points on strength. So you know he got strength.
And we see that strength in the next moment because he doesn't just grab this thing, his fingers are engraved in the armor of the servant.
Exactly. Like
Yeah.
he bear hugged this snake.
And and what we see next is nothing short as amazing as he takes every single one of those 10 points and puts it into this one moment and suplexes that snake into the ground. The next illustration we see is a victorious Jinwoo sitting across from a completely incapacitated giant serpent.
Yep, he managed to kill that snake.
Right, and keep in mind how low. Well, first of all, I believe he was. What was it? Was it 40, 40 or 50 fatigue walking in, and so he was tired walking in, and then each blow was dealing considerable damage. As Benton said, I believe he was bleeding off the first hit. So this guy is beyond exhausted,
Mm,
and but no one's too exhausted to claim their rewards.
yes,
Um,
sir.
we see our protagonist gets his first A class item, and I believe it was just called the Fang of Rasaka. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, it's the venom. It gives him 35 strength, but he's gonna lose 20% of physical, like, I think, um it's gonna amplify the damage that he takes. So there's like how you call it?
There was a give and take because
Yeah, it's a
because it subtracted something. I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't much, and it was definitely more of a it was more of a positive than a negative effect.
right.
And we also, you can't forget our abilities. We got paralysis and we got bleed now in Rasaka's Fang. And so we got our first A-class item. And then I believe we got, did we get two
Now,
C-class items?
the Rasaka Venom is the one that gives him strength, and then the other reward he receives is the blade, the Rasaka Fang,
Right,
which is,
right,
yeah, you're right, the paralyze and bleed effect,
right,
both in the same time. Like, yo, that's too much.
right. And so, which proves that Rasaka was definitely an enemy worth taking down. And our protagonist says that as well.
And that you have to take the gravity of this item though, because
Okay, okay,
at some point Jinwoo is trying to buy an item or at least a weapon, because that's his been problem ever since he become a hunter. He, like I said, like we said earlier, he's trying to like save money, or at least the reason why he become a hunter, just to help out his mom and his sister.
okay.
So he does not have a luxury to buy a weapon. So he always go inside the dungeon barehanded. And then every time he wants to buy an item or at least a weapon, he always go broke down immediately. And those weapons are expensive.
Right,
Expensive. Like the sword that he's using coming from Mr. Sheik, that's expensive already. That cost him like thousands.
right.
I forgot what's the Korean
One.
currency, one already. So like and then he has his own shop, but he can't, since his level is that low, he can't buy anything on his shop yet. But even though he can buy it, he can't afford it because he just started, so he broke too. And then the type that Mr. Sheik has is like, I think that's D.
Yeah,
Like that's D. So if that sword is already expensive, he got C though. He got rank C.
right,
So how much expensive does his dagger have?
right.
Like he
And then
could
and
be
then
a millionaire.
something else to keep in mind. This is his first weapon earned.
Right. And then there's an
C rank.
effect on it too. The sword that he has adds damage, but that's about it. But this one have an effect plus 25 attack damage.
Right. And keep
Hold
in
out of
mind,
it.
this is an E rank hunter, guys. The lowest of the low, pretty much considered the hunters that are still in the loop bin and don't so aren't even worth acknowledging and are basically just there to have extra bodies on raids. And so he's the worst of the worst of these guys by title. And his first weapon is a C rank weapon. And so he is ecstatic about this. This is big, but he's also I noticed he also looks at the design and he's like, wow, it actually looks like Rasaka's fangs. Those very terrorizing looking fangs. The inside of that serpent's mouth, it was pretty detailed. And so the fang actually looks like something that was yanked right out of his mouth. It's pretty cool.
Yep.
And what chapter is that at the end of that boss battle? Is that 16? I know it's somewhere around that.
Oh yeah, yeah, it is 16.
Yeah, somewhere. Okay. And okay, so at this point, um, Jinwoo is level 18. He's got 220 health, 350 MP, and 48 strength.
Yep.
Yeah. And keep in mind, he was able to defeat a C rank boss solo, as you know, that is the name of the novel, solo, and that was with 10 strength. And so we quickly see the effect of putting points, hoarding points into one category, because who knows if you put it into MP, okay, depending on your build, of course. But if he put it into MP, who knows what type of magic you would have had, or if he put it all into intelligence, who knows what kind of strategy that he would have been coming up with. But we see this, we see that there's definitely a benefit to point hoarding.
Right.
All right. So what happens after chapter 17? Because I remember. Okay. So by the way, guys, he's out of the dungeon, and we noticed that he's starting to protagonist is starting to look different. What happens after that?
So the moment he defeat, I we forgot to mention, being hunter. So if you got awakened, and then you have a special ability, of course, you're stronger than the average human, of course, and your magic comes with it, your skills comes with it. So Jin Woo is like weakest, so he doesn't got anything except for regeneration.
Right.
But you as a hunter, if you got an awaken, even if you train, like run around in the mountain or study for magic, you won't go anywhere. That's it. Your level doesn't go up. That's it. That's it.
Right.
The only reason where you get stronger, if you got reawakened, which is what happened to Jinwoo. He got reawakened, but his reawakening gives him the ability to get even more stronger. So that's how special he is. For all around the world, he's the only person that gets stronger.
Right.
Like all these rank guys or all these OP people or higher ranking, that's it. That's it for them. Even if they train, that's it. They don't go
Right.
stronger than that. But yeah, after like yeah, going back to what happened after the boss fight. So the entire scenario, as Josh described, starting to like crumble up as, and then it starts to slowly go back to how the regular train station looked like.
Yep.
So everything is vanishing, including the corpse or carcass of the boss. So as he slowly, or as he moving, going or outside the train station, it's already dark and raining outside. And then as he surprises, a soldier came up to him, and he was like, "What are you doing here? Like, how did you manage to get here?" And then Jinu was like, "Well, what's going on?" And the soldier was like, "What? You don't know what's going on? You don't know what's happening?" And then the Jinwoo just making an excuse and all that. And then soldier was like, "Look, there's a dungeon outbreak nearby, and then you need to leave." And then Jinwoo was like, "Oh, I'm a hunter, so I think I'm all right." And then all of a sudden, the soldier. This is how you know hunters have a high privilege in human society, because this soldier, the moment Jinwoo mentioned that he's a hunter, this soldier salutes at him.
Right. I noticed that.
Like the moment, yeah, I'm a hunter. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, sir. I thought you're just a normal citizen.
Right.
And then yeah, he mentioned that yeah, there's a dungeon outbreak going on, and then dungeon outbreak is so there's only at least a week. Most of the time, it's only a week. If the a dungeon starts to open up, there's an open window of 7 days or a week. If no one managed to like finish off the boss, or no one took care of that dungeon, the dungeon outbreak is gonna happen.
Right.
That dungeon outbreak means the monster gonna start coming out. So the moment Jinwoo managed to finish off the boss on his exclusive exclusive dungeon,
Right.
he came out knowing that there's a dungeon outbreak going on near him. So Jinwoo, you already know Jinwoo is legit when he can feel it. He can feel the boss. and then his eyes start to
As
turn
soon
in.
as you get that, you see that light blue, that cold, very cold light blue,
Yes,
in the
sir.
darkness. You know something's about to go down, and Jim Woo's about to get serious.
Yep. So everybody was like, yeah, you know, some paparazzi and some outlookers, they were like trying to take a picture or video of what's going on.
Right.
And then the soldiers just like, yo, like move out of the way. And then of course there's like a hunters quickly responded to this dungeon outbreak. And then of course Jinwoo, he didn't respond. He's more like he just trying to be nosy, or he just wanna like check what's going on. And then he saw like bunch of corpse or bunch of monsters on the roads and stuff. And then now the only monster left is the boss. Like the boss looked like a stone golem.
Yep, that's how I
It's
described him.
and then it's big, but it's not big as, man. You can't forget that like big boss. But yeah, you can't. He's big, but not that as big. But
Right. Just picture, picture like a half the size, maybe like half the size. Maybe he's like the size of a Walmart or something like that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. At least like three storage apartment. I would just say it like that,
Okay.
or at least four or
And
five.
and remember, Jim Woo's observing this guy from a pretty far away distance, and but he sees how big he is. And then I believe it both D and C rank hunters fighting it.
Yep.
Okay. And so there you got warriors in there. You got a tank in there. The front lines taking the brunt of the damage, but they're fighting a losing battle, not giving up, but they're fighting a losing battle. How many were there?
Um, they full squad. So there's
Right,
magician. Yeah, like you said, there's a tank, and
right.
there's some
And then
supposed to be a
we
swordsman.
learn early on that the average amount to go into these dungeons is 10. And so there's about 10 here, but remember this is happening in the open because Benton mentioned the gate opening up, and now there's occurrences going on around the world. This is happening in the open, and then you got a whole bunch of onlookers that are surrounding the area. I don't know. It could be a crowd of at least 100 people, cheering on the hunters as they fight this losing battle. I don't believe there was any casualties at this point, but
Nah,
when
you know why there's wasn't any?
why?
Man, our girl, Chi was in there, so she's in the fight.
Oh, right, Juhi,
Yeah,
right,
he,
B
he
rank healer.
she's over there. But the thing is, so Jinwoo saw her. Jinwoo saw her fighting with this squad, but he also realized, he was like, yeah, she she's still traumatized because she can't, like, her teammate is yelling at her like, yo, what are you doing? Start healing, start giving us buff, like like facing out, like we're in the situation here, like put your head in the game.
Right,
So like that's how he knows, like, yeah, yeah, she's still struggling, and she is though. And then Jinwoo was like, yeah, nah, I know how it feels because I'm in the same room with him.
right.
So
But and I really and I'm glad that part was emphasized. And like Benton said, she does have a big problem, but I actually think she makes for a great character, despite how little we know about her, because we see she has the skill. She's a B rank healer, and B ranks are regarded as very strong.
mhm,
Um, and and yet, she sticks to both E and D rank raids. We don't know how long she's been a hunter, but she's definitely been doing it for a while. And so that says a lot about her confidence. And we're reminded that you can have the skill, the strength, their proficiency, whatever. But if you don't have the motivation to go along with it, you're fighting a losing battle. You don't go into any battle thinking that you're going to lose, because then you've already mentally lost.
Yep.
And
And
so,
then,
what does our boy Jinwoo do to help out these guys in this losing battle?
man, Jinwoo was like, the moment he saw the girl, was like, yeah, he's traumatized. But you know what? I ain't like her. I'm not gonna be traumatized. I'm gonna overcome my fear. I'll overcome my weakness. And then Jin Woo raised up his sword like he was charging it. The sword, this is the very same sword that broke out in the boss fight.
Right, not much of a sword anymore, more like
Yeah,
just the hilt of a sword.
it's not even half. Like it's
Yeah,
just
that's what I said.
basically it's
That's what I said.
basically
It's just
just
like
the
the hilt.
handle and couple of blades.
Right,
Right, right.
right. It's
And then
just
he charges. Man, he raised up that sword as if it was a Lion King. He was like, man, I'll overcome this. And then he swing the sword so hard, yo, the boss went down. Like none of this squad can do anything. They can't scratch this boss, nothing. But Jinwoo just throw this broken sword right to his face.
so, guys. I don't watch baseball, but picture your favorite pitcher, your favorite top-rated pitcher, swinging instead of a baseball, that not even half, like Benton said, but a small hilt of a sword, swinging it in that motion, with so much force that, like, when he's done swinging it, his other leg is all the way in the air, and
Right,
this thing is flying at such force that it looks like it's about to. It looks like it's about to bust through the page, and it's got all this wind force, velocity going around it. Straight into the boss. Where did it land into? Was it his back or his?
nah, oh, him?
Yeah.
Nah, he didn't show. He didn't show how he
Oh,
landed,
okay.
but
Yeah, and there's not
it
much to show because he just explodes.
yeah. And then so this tank, there's only one person in the fight that realizes what happened. He was like, wait, we've been trying to like fight this boss, but to no avail. No scratches whatsoever. And then all of a sudden it got tilted, it got hit, it got tilted, and then we have the chance to like fight it off or finish it off. Like, what's going on? And then he saw a sword on his head, like on the boss head. And
Right.
then he was like, wait, whose sword is that? And then he started asking the crowd, like, is there any hunter here around? And then the soldier that the saluted Jin Woo, the one who escorted him there, he was like, yeah, 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 there's one in here. And then all of a sudden, man, our boy left like nothing happened. He just walked away.
Business as
No,
usual.
man,
You know, protagonist stuff.
I'm not doing this for faith, you know what I'm saying? Like he just
Right.
walk away.
I got
He
stuff
just
to
walk
do.
away. Right, right. Man, it's like he walk away with the explosion behind him, basically.
That's what it was. Movie scene.
Right. He was like, man, I'm done. And then yeah, at this point, just like you said earlier, his fatigue is over 72%,
Right.
and he's level 18. And he at this point he got 49 strength and then 27 all the way out.
Right. And then, do you remember? Do you remember the chapter that? So when he walked away from that, do you remember what chapter that was?
Yeah, 17 work.
What'd you say?
The 17.
Oh, that was 17. Oh, okay. And so we see that not only is he still as selfless as ever, but he he's got a goal, because he could have easily stuck around like Ben said, or just like explain, or what happened to the soldier. He didn't talk to anyone, and this guy's on a mission to get strong, and he's sticking to it.
Yeah, but I mean, because he already know, like, he knows to begin with that no hunter no hunter can get stronger. Like, if you got awakened, that's it. That's who you are now.
Right,
Like, even if you exercise every day, even if you train, you're not gonna get improved. That's it. You're
right,
that level. So he tried to keep that a secret, like, because like the envy that he's gonna get, or like he doesn't want to deal with all of that.
right,
So he just trying to keep that to himself.
right. And then it's safe to say that would quickly draw strong enemies towards him,
Right.
because I don't remember who says it, but it wasn't uncommon for a hunter to kill another hunter. That happened too. That happens too. And so, didn't want to
Yep. Yep.
draw in.
Yeah. I mean, because like who can see what happened to the dungeon anyway? Like, there's no cameras.
Right.
I mean, obviously, this hunter is far more stronger than a regular soldier, unless you got shot at. So yeah, I guess they're not that strong. But yeah, but yeah, there's no enforcer inside the dungeon. You know what I'm saying? It's not, if you're a
Right.
regular normal being there, you're just gonna be a food monster. I mean, Jin Woo always comes out bleeding, or at least, like, like there's something's going on with him, and he's a
Right.
hunter. So like, if something happened to the dungeon, you can't say anything.
Right. And then something that I caught, it's easy to miss because it's only a single line, but Juhi actually looks over into the crowd after the madness is done, and then she says something like, wait, was Jin Woo here or
Oh,
something
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think I saw
so
Jin Woo. Yeah.
right, and then you gotta think that was at least a crowd of 100 people, and yet she says she senses that he was here, but she's never sure. But so I think that's a hint that the two have some sort of connection. Just something to keep in mind.
Right, right. But nah, at this point, how far along are you? Like, where did you manage to read? Like, when
And
did you stop?
I'm at 52.
Oh, so you finally,
I started the true fight.
so you finally see it, huh? You finally saw it.
Hey, practice is over. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
All I'm gonna say is the moment I read that, I swear I start shouting. This is the start of solo leveling. Oh my yo, like, for this entire time, I legit start shouting. I was like, man, for this entire time, Jin Woo is just creating his character for this moment,
That's the way to put it. Yeah.
for
Like,
this moment.
all right, guys, because from the beginning, Ben and I have been throwing in RPG references. I mean, as the novel is using, and it's the best thing to compare it to. But now we really see that this is an RPG, but at the same time, this is no game.
No game.
All right, guys. So now, Ben, is it time to get into the spoiler section? Because I'm ready.
Spoil, 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 spoiler. Oh, because there's no sound. I'm gonna make sound for it. Spoil, spoil, spoiler.
All right, guys. So this is now the spoiler section of the Hickory podcast. So get ready.
A moment of silence, so you have a moment to leave. But if you stay, you've been warned.
Right. All
Okay,
right.
that's long enough. That's long enough.
Right.
I can't contain it. I can't contain it.
Right.
So
Right.
Jinwoo managed to go through a lot of things.
Right.
So um he managed to go dungeon hunting because he wants to see if he
How
can't
far he
level
can
up.
take himself.
Right. And then if going to a regular dungeon makes him level up, so he try all this stuff, you know what I'm saying? And then he encounter multiple things at that time. But I'll just try to like scheme it. Like I'll just try to summarize it so we can go to the best part.
Right.
So he managed to go to a dungeon, but suddenly get betrayed. So like Josh said, everything can happen inside the dungeon, and that includes murder. So people trying to kidnap you, or to like I said earlier, the items are expensive. Like weapons, armor is expensive.
Right.
So people were willing to kill you just to steal those.
And like Benton says, what happens inside a dungeon stays inside a dungeon.
Stay inside the dungeon. So Jinwoo got betrayed, and him and this other guy got trapped inside the boss room.
Eugene.
Yeah, Eugene. Yep, Eugene. Your boy Eugene. They got trapped inside the dungeon, and as usual, Jinwoo, he fought this boss like, man, he fought this boss like it was nothing.
Right. And guys, our protagonist has a whole different look from now. It's the same person, but at the same time, this guy
Taller,
has grown. This guy has
taller.
grown, and the confidence shows.
All I'm gonna say is, Josh, if I'm gay, it's because of Jinwoo. Like, yo, he ripped, he tall, man, he sexy.
Hey, look, when you're
Forget all
handsome,
that.
you're handsome.
Yeah, he handsome, man.
But
He,
what's
he
what's funny is that Eugene has this million at least million won worth of armor, and you see it. I mean, you notice it right away as the armor stands out like a sore thumb. He's got he's got this. He's part of his, I believe his father owns a what is the
like
company?
his father is like CEO of like uh I think it's architect something.
Right, right. And so he's got plenty of money, and he puts it all into. It shows in his armor. But what Eugene clearly doesn't realize is that you can have the proper equipment, but if you don't have the skill to utilize it, yeah, it's pretty useless.
It's useless. So yeah, when he one on one this boss and managed to kill it, Gene like he already know what's the guy name again? I forgot. Man, I'm
Eugene,
bad at names.
Eugene,
What? Yeah, Eugene realized he was like, man, this guy is a false ranker. So
right,
false ranker is the ones that are hiding their like exact rank.
right. And a quote from Eugene is, "False rankers usually kill as their hobby." So we can
Right.
imagine that Eugene's pretty fearful right now, considering it's just them two. And
Yeah. And he start mining all of a sudden. He was like, yeah, boss. Yeah, I'll do this for you, boss.
right, right,
Cause he's scared. Cause Jin Woo managed to one on one a boss, a
right,
D rank boss. So
right,
you know that's saying a lot already.
right. And this and then Jim Woo stated that this boss was actually still far stronger than Rasaka, even though
Mm-hmm.
even though Rasaka was C rank. So that's something to keep in mind.
Yep. And
Yeah,
this
and then
one,
go ahead.
and then this one, when he managed to like, are you gonna say something? Because I'm gonna continue the story.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, when Jinwoo managed to one on one the boss, and then the crew came back. The people that betrayed Jinwoo came back, and this is how you know the system controlled Jinwoo's life when this people or this group is trying to murder Jinwoo and then murder Eugene just to steal his like armor. And this system told Jin Woo that there's a warning, like warning, someone's trying to kill you, so kill them. And then just like his daily quest, just
Just in
like
case you don't know, just in case the guy in front of you wants to kill you really badly.
yep. And then from this point, Jin Woo, Jin Woo's life is being controlled by the system solely because the system the system told him to kill all those people that betrayed him. So it's either him gonna die or it's them that he's gonna kill. But of course, Jinwoo doesn't want to die, so he pretty much don't have a choice. So
Right.
it's from then it's killed or be killed. So at this point, he chose to massacre, not even fight. It's a massacre,
Right.
and then like he swing his dagger like it's nothing. He killed Bug at this point. Like
Right. And guys, you got to keep in mind, he's using a C rank weapon.
hmm hmm So a single scratch and then C rank weapon with effect. Just a
Right.
scratch, it bleeds and paralyzes them.
Right.
So like like Jin Woo is like a beast at this point. Like he does not care. He does not care. Like
Right,
who
guys.
you
And
are.
then keep in mind, Yu Jin is inexperienced D rank hunter. So it's not that he was pretty much throwing Jinwoo to the wolves or leaving him out to dry or anything like that. But in a lack of experience, you're going to be stunned like that.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, but let me give him one more major spoiler to make you guys dive into this. You guys,
Arise.
you do
Josh,
you guys play RPGs? Because job classes are in this, and they have a deep role.
you could have been a swordsman, you could have been a sorcerer, you could have been a healer that supports everybody, but nah,
A
Josh.
necromancer,
Necromancer.
and we're gonna
Arise.
we're gonna leave it at that. Just let that sit. Let that sit. A necromancer.
For everything that we guys told you for now, this is just Gene Woo creating his character. Basically, he's just we're not even starting
and
it.
and think necromancer, that is just the start of job classes. But like I said, guys, let that sit. We appreciate every single person who took the time out of your busy or maybe not so busy schedules to listen to us ramble. This has been the Higgity Podcast with Josh and Benton. Hope you guys enjoy your day. Benton, anything else you want to leave them with?
Please read Solo Leveling. You'll thank me
Solo
later.
level.
Thank you later.
And also, it might not be so solo soon enough.
Oh, that's
That's enough of that. Oh, guys. Josh and Benton signing out. Peace out, guys.
Peace.